Radha Ramana Hari Govind Jai Jai. Yesterday we were talking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. He's talking about principles, process and perfection. Principles means the eternal truth, tattva, on which everything is based, by which everything runs. And then perfection, that's the goal that we're trying to attain, and process is the way by which we're trying to attain it. So right there's a lot of knowledge. And the question arises, how can we get knowledge? What is a reliable way of getting knowledge? What's a reliable source of knowledge? In the Vedic tradition, it's stated that the only really reliable source of knowledge is the Vedas, Vedic literatures. These are received by Brahma, Lord Brahma. He's the secondary creator of the universe. Primary creator of the universe, of course, is Krishna, through the avatars, Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Brahmaji, he's the secondary creator. So, Krishna initiated Brahma. Brahma, he was born, he found himself in darkness. He's in a lotus flower in pitch darkness. And he went down the stem as far as he could go and he found water. And he came up again. He couldn't go any further down. So he couldn't find out, by his experimental means, he couldn't find out where he was, who he was, where he'd come from, anything. And then he heard tapa, 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 austerity. So he meditated for a long, long, long time. And finally Krishna was pleased with him and manifested himself, and he saw the spiritual world. Krishna shook hands with him and he initiated him into Vedic knowledge. And then Brahmaji, he passed it down to his disciples through the parampara. So parampara, sampradaya, it's a line of self-realized teachers, each of whom is receiving the knowledge from the previous teacher. So Brahmaji, he manifested from his heart, he manifested Narada Muni. And Narada Muni is a great transcendental personality. He travels throughout the material world and in the spiritual world also. So he's second after Brahmaji. Then Narada Muni, one of his disciples, many disciples, is Srila Vyasadeva, also an incarnation of Krishna, who compiled all the Vedic literatures. And Narada Muni visited Vyasadeva when Vyasadeva was in a dilemma. And he explained to him that actually now you have to glorify the pastimes of Krishna, the Supreme Personality, in Vrindavan, with his associates there. And he instructed him how to enter into Samadhi, and then Vyasadeva went into Samadhi, and he saw, in his Samadhi, he saw all these pastimes and described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then his son, Shukadeva Goswami, most extraordinary personality, self-realized from birth. Self-realized in monistic realization from birth. And then, by the mercy of his father, he became attracted to devotional service, bhakti yoga. Yes, the Shukadeva Goswami. And then, next, after Vyasadeva, long time after, Srila Madhvacharya. So Madhvacharya is a very, very powerful acharya. And he actually went to Himalayas and he met with Srila Vyasadeva there. And then there's a long line from Srila Madhvacharya. And in that line there's Madhavendra Puri, who was the first in our line to manifest Braj Bhav. So he manifested spontaneous love, like in the mood of the Brajvasis, the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Then his disciple, Ishvara Puripad, and his disciple was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, coming to taste devotional service, his own devotional service, in the form of his own devotee, and teach it to others. And showing that even the Supreme Lord has to accept a guru. Just like Krishna and Baladev, they also accepted gurus, Sandipani Muni. So then, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the 6 Goswamis, and so on down to Srila Saraswati Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, and then his disciples, two of whom is Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaja, our Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Bhakti Brigand Keshav Goswami Maharaj, our Param Gurudev, the Guru of our Srila Gurudev. So like this, it's coming down in a line of self-realized teachers. So what is the material that's coming down? There's the four Vedas themselves. The four Vedas, like Krishna describes in Bhagavad-gita, they deal mainly with the modes of material nature. Flowery language, they're telling you how to perform sacrifices, how to go to the heavenly planets and so on. Within the Vedas, there's the Upanishads. And the Upanishads are considered to be the crest jewel of the Shrutis, crest jewel of the Vedic literatures. So they describe, many people think that the Upanishads describe an impersonal reality. But actually the Upanishads, everywhere they're explaining that the supreme absolute truth is a personality. Nityo nityanam chaitanash chaitananam eko bahunam yo viridhati kama is the supreme eternal amongst so many eternals. The supreme conscious being amongst so many conscious beings. He's one, and he's satisfying the desires of everybody else. So this is personality. Then there's the Puranas, which explain in more detail the intention of the Upanishads and relate many pastimes of the devotees. And the greatest of the Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes the pastimes of the devotees, pastimes of the incarnation of the Lord, and 10th canto describes the pastimes of Krishna himself. First of all in Vrindavan with his Bhakti Basics. And this is actually the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in Mathura, in Dwarka. As well as the Puranas, there's the Itihasas, historical histories, and the Ramayana, which is compiled by Ramayana is compiled by Valmiki. So Valmiki was initially a bandit, and Brahmaji, it's quite a story. He was a bandit, and Narada Muni converted into Vaishnavism. So he was meditating for 60,000 years, and in the end he became self-realized sage. He was chanting the name of Ram, 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 Ram. At first he was chanting death, Ma Ram, Ma Ram, Ma Ram, Ma Ram, 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 like this, trickery by Narada Muni. And Brahmaji inspired him to manifest a new meter, a new type of verse for writing. This is the meter which is used in Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavad-gita, Anushtup. And when he first recited the verse, he was amazed. Oh, wonderful. Then he recited to his disciples. He said, oh, this is a beautiful, beautiful way of reciting poetry. And then Brahmaji himself manifested. He said, oh, I've inspired you to do this so that you can recite Ramayana. You're going to relate the history of Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Lord. So before Ramachandra came, Valmiki described Ramayana. Then Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the greatest book in the whole world. Most extensive book. And a very tiny part of Mahabharata is Bhagavad-gita. Krishna explains to Arjuna what is the essence of Dharma, what is our real purpose in this world. And then other literatures which follow these literatures. So Bhagavad-gita is also, it's reliable. Why? Because it's the instructions of Krishna himself. And he refers to the Puranas, he refers to the Brahma Sutras in Bhagavad-gita. So this is parampara. Why is there a necessity for parampara? To maintain the purity of devotional service. So many people in Kali Yuga, they're attracted by impersonalism, atheism, and so on. Or they're attracted by materialism, means that they'll pray to Krishna, they'll perform devotional service, but with material intentions. So therefore, Krishna has arranged that there's Vaishnava Sampradayas, which are preaching pure bhakti. And then there's other lines. And the atheists and materialists and the impersonalists and so on, they go to the other lines. And it leaves the devotees relatively unhindered. But still we have this tendency. Like my Guru Maharaj, when he first went to the West, he was always talking about the Mayavadis, and the devotees wanted to know, who are these Mayavadis he's talking about? And then finally they understood, us. Shunyavadi, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarane. So there's 4 paramparas from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, coming from Shri, Brahma, Rudra, Sanaka. So one coming from Lakshmi, one coming from Brahmaji, one from Shivji, and one from four Kumars. And the oldest of these is the one coming from Brahma. And so we're in this line of Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. Means from Brahmaji through Madhvacharya, then through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga. Why is the Vedic knowledge reliable whereas no other knowledge is reliable? Because it's manifest from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's manifest from the Absolute Truth. Any knowledge that we gain through our senses, through our mind, it must be unreliable. Because all human beings, we have 4 defects. First of all, we tend to be in illusion. Like somebody's in the desert and he sees a lake, beautiful lake of water, trees, people there, and he's running in the desert trying to get to this water. Running and running and running. In the end he dies. It's a mirage. The whole conception of material happiness in this world is also a mirage. It's just as a mirage is a reflection of another reality. So this pleasure, material pleasure, it's a reflection of the happiness in the spiritual world. Illusion. Then we make mistakes. Like Prabhupada quotes the example Gandhi. So he was told, don't go to that meeting tonight. He went and he was shot. Then we have cheating propensity. Like Charles Darwin. He's making a big arrangement so that we can believe that one kind of animal changes into a different kind of animal. This is cheating. Or they're explaining how the whole universe has appeared out of nothing. And they have huge mathematical theories to try and prove that they're right. This is cheating. And then finally our senses are imperfect. We can't see what's on the other side of the wall, for example. So we have these 4 defects, which means that all the knowledge which comes through our senses, through our mind, must be imperfect. So material mind and senses, they can't even give information about something that's 100 miles away. And what to speak of the spiritual world. So if we want to know what's going on in the spiritual world, just like if you want to know what's going on in Mathura, then you have to ring up. Hey, how's it going? What's the weather? Who's there? So similarly, if we want to know what's going on in the spiritual world, then we have to hear from somebody who's situated in the spiritual world. So, so the logic can't explain the inconceivable. In Vedanta Sutras it's explained. Tarka Pradishtanad. You can't establish truth through logic. Because somebody else will come and make some other presentation. You'll see in the history of Western philosophy, somebody puts up a system of philosophy, and then somebody else comes and knocks it down. And then somebody else comes and knocks his down, and somebody else comes and knocks his down, and so on. So in order to get reliable knowledge, we have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Somebody who has perfect knowledge, and who can give it in a perfect way without motivation. Somebody who's actually self-realized. Means that when they speak, their vibration, their explanation, is not only true, but it's true for us. They're presenting in such a way that it will help us to understand and to realize what is the truth, what's our relationship with the Supreme Absolute Truth. Hare Krishna.